An advisor named Kautilya devised some procedures for governance. Some of this advice survives in the ancient Indian political handbook, where it outlines the methods of administering the empire, overseeing trade and agriculture, collecting taxes, maintaining order, conducting foreign relations, and waging war. Like the Persian Empire emperors and the Chinese emperors, Chandragupta and Kautilya built a bureaucratic administrative system. The high point of the Mauryan Empire, however, came during the reign of Chandragupta's grandson Ashoka. Even today, he remains the most celebrated ancient Indian. Ashoka began his reign, 268 to 232, as a conqueror. As far as we can tell, the transition of power from Chandragupta to his son was disordered. Ashoka therefore had to eliminate a lot of his rivals in order to control Magadha. When he came to power, the only major region that remained independent was the kingdom of Kalinga in the east-central part of the subcontinent. Kalinga was not only independent, but it was hostile to Mauryan spread. The Kalinga controlled the principal trade routes, both by land and by sea, between the Ganges plain and southern India. Ashoka's first major undertaking as emperor was to conquer Kalinga, which he did in 260 BC. This war killed 100,000 people, enslaved 150,000 more, and spread massive destruction. The death and destruction that occurred during this war shocked Ashoka to the point that he actually reconsidered his outlook on life. He would later say, and I quote, "He regrets the conquest of Kalinga. When an independent country is conquered, people are killed or deported, and the beloved of gods, Ashoka, finds very painful and grievous." He realized that all unjust violence was wrong, proclaiming that even if the number killed and captured had been less, it would have been grievous to the beloved of the gods. He ultimately converts to Buddhism, crediting one of his queens with his conversion. Ashoka, therefore, is much better known as a governor rather than a conqueror. He ruled over almost the entirety of the subcontinent, and he turned his attention to the responsible governance of his realm. The only empire that reached the same extent in the region was ruled by outsiders, such as the Delhi Sultans, the Mughal emperors, and the British Empire. His rule was marked by non-violence. He decreed that sympathy, I quote, should be felt for all creatures. Righteousness should be practiced. This is an ancient rule conducive to long life. Government history books and Bollywood movies continue to idealize him and his reign. Ashoka ruled through a tightly organized bureaucracy. He went to great pains to implement his policies. A central treasury oversaw the efficient collection of taxes. He communicated his policies by inscribing edicts in natural stone formations or pillars. These pillars included statues of lions looking in the four cardinal directions, which is still an important symbol in modern India today and can be found on its money and its coins. Ashoka also used 3 semi-independent governors outside of his capital with the following decree: that they may fearlessly carry out their duties, I have given them power to judge and to inflict punishment on their own initiative. Some may have been members of the imperial family, meaning he ruled over a patrimonial state. As a result, various regions of India became well integrated, and the subcontinent benefited from both an expanding economy and a stable government. His empire sought to take care of the poor and have an impartial justice system. He gave instructions to gradually increase Kalinga's affection for him, making the bloodiest battlefield of his war with them a site where Buddhist monks and nuns could worship. He attempted to get his realm to follow the Buddha, but even sending missionaries throughout India and even as far west as Greece. Despite his personal devotion to Buddhism, Ashoka did not allow other religions, although he does outlaw Brahmin animal sacrifice within his capital. He gave charity not only to Buddhists, but to Jains and to Brahmins. Ashoka encouraged the expansion of agriculture by building irrigation systems. He encouraged trade by building roads, most notably a highway of 1,000 miles long, linking the chief political and commercial centers of northern India. Ashoka dies in 232 BC, and a decline sets in almost immediately. The Mauryan Empire suffered from financial and economic difficulties. Salaries for soldiers and bureaucrats are expensive, and the later Mauryan Empire emperors resorted to debasing their currency, that is, reducing the amount of precious metal in a coin. These successors were not as strong as Ashoka. Technology available at the time was inadequate for an effective administration over such a vast empire. Taxes were stopped in terms of being delivered in the capital, as governors were asserting their own authority. They kept the tax revenue for themselves and installed their own regimes. Distinct regional and cultural identities also emerge, fracturing the unity of the empire. By 185 BC, the Mauryan Empire had completely disappeared.